Episode 28. This evening we're gonna have like a chill stream. It's gonna be me and my boy Christian. Hello Christian, say hello to everybody. You're on the screen right now.
Hi
Uh,
guys.
Hello to everyone watching us. Hello to everyone who's going to watch this stream afterwards. Tonight, this evening is gonna be chill stream. As stated, we're gonna talk about various parts of the hobby. We're gonna talk about what we did lately, and oh boy, I did some very interesting things and games I played. Um, Actually, with one of our subscribers, and they were like really, those games were, I mean, they were really nice. I played that game with Rob on Sunday, and then afterwards, of course, I couldn't just finish up with one game. I went for the second game that lasted about 1 in the morning or something like that, and there I played with my dear friend Soren from Iceland. Hello, good evening to everybody from my school. Everybody saying hi. Christian has some very interesting things to show you guys actually, so maybe if you guys wanna stick around and watch the stream, um, and please use English in the chat because we're having foreign subscribers also from all over the world, so uh, international language English to be used as a recommendation, so everybody knows what you're writing in the chat room. We're gonna talk about rules. We're gonna talk about how you can build your armies, how you can start this hobby, because I think it's an important step and it's an important thing for the kids that are watching us, because we got up to 200 subscribers just like that, and I for this I would thank the guys at the school, and yeah, they're really Patrick wants you guys to talk in German. Well, they are learning Spanish at school, so maybe they could try some Spanish, but everybody knows English. It's like the second language here in Romania, so basically everybody knows how to talk and how to write, I hope, in English. So how have you been, Christian? What have you done lately?
Um, yeah, I've been planning my list for the upcoming event in Denmark on the 14th of November.
All right.
It's gonna be like a campaign, a one-day campaign with a what-if scenario where Denmark is getting invaded as part of the Allies' assault in 1944. So it will be the Allies landing on the coast of Jutland and also paratroopers being dropped all over the coast, behind the coast. And the Russians will try and push up through uh, the Baltic Sea and up to Copenhagen and try and drive through there and also through northern Germany. And obviously the Allies will try and beat them to Berlin. And in this case, it might be a situation where there will be a continuation war with the Allies facing off against the Russians. So, but it's a 90-point tournament and
It's
regular rules for list building
it's a
from
it's
Battlefield.
early war,
No, it's late war.
late war.
It's late. Yeah.
Righty, very interesting. We're gonna have the Romanian GT. By the way, we finally settled. Hopefully, we'll be able to participate and to hold it 21 to 22nd of November. So if you guys are interested and you want to see what we are going to play, stick around because you're gonna probably see some showcases of those games, and I'm sure I'm gonna be live streaming at least my table or the games that I'll be playing. And yeah, if you guys are interested into what we here in Romania are playing and what we are planning, I can tell you guys that for this tournament at least, we're gonna have a lot of heavies. I don't know if that's the current meta or how it's gonna go, but for sure here in Romania, for this tournament, people are preparing all their heavies, and of course, to counter that, I'm preparing all my Achilles and Fireflies and Joe Atkins and all these crazy and good things. Drinking Coke, so just so you guys wonder what I'm drinking, it's still too early to start drinking serious beverages. And
I got coffee right here.
yeah, and Christian has coffee. So
Or tea, actually. It's tea.
yeah, exactly. All right. So guys, let's just start and see what's up with Battlefront and Flames of War homepage for today. What are they up to and what have they done lately? So this was with lessons from the front. Now Battlefront gaming accessories. Now this is something interesting, and this is actually something that everybody was waiting for, and for sure I was very anxious to be able to buy one more time those tin boxes for the dices with all the tokens and objectives and everything. They are going to be out on early December, so basically in 1 month for now, and I think they are ready for pre-order. So if you guys are interested, $25 for a very nice tin cam with objective and dices. I see they already updated the dices, so basically they are regular German dices, but yeah, put in a tin box. Would be very nice to see the SS dices. I am very sure these are not the SS gaming dices. So basically this is a little glitch on their website. So for all you guys that want to start a hobby, you should start with flamesofwar.com, which is the web page of the company called Battlefront, which is the main company supporting this game system, which is called Flames of War, as you can see written right here. And these are different toys that we grown-ups are buying for ourselves to be able to enjoy this game. Basically this game is played on a table filled with a lot of terrain, composed of trees, houses, or different other objects, miniaturized, so made very small, to up to a 1 to a 100 scale, so very small and tiny. And then on that table we use measurements to be able to tape measure to be able to measure the distance of how long a unit can travel and how long can they move up to. Alrighty. Hello, Andre. How are you? How have you done? How have you been lately? I can see some very nice dices for West German tin. And can you guys tell me if the sound is correct? Because I keep having some glitches on the sound, and I'm not sure why this happens. But tell me if it starts to be too loud at a point or not.
Hi, Andre.
Righty. So this is with the tins. I didn't see if they have different dices for American tin. No, so they are the regular dices. I would have expected them to update the dices, maybe, at least, because
Yeah.
I already have them, so I will not buy them now. I will just buy the Waffen SS tin probably, just to be able to keep up with it. Yeah, Andrew, thank you very much. We're trying. It's quite difficult to talk about the different things when this pandemic is going on, but we're trying, and I hope we're succeeding to a point. If Soren is agreeing, but he's not with us until now, I haven't seen him online. I will present you guys some parts of our battle and do a small battle report of how it went. We played two lists that normally neither of us would play, but we will get to that shortly. So, city ruins, we have ultimate guide of how to build them. We talked about this last time. Third annual Toys for Toys to Drive. Army building with heavy assault group starter box. So for everybody that wants to start a Soviet armor force, this is a very good box to start with. And then all the rest are old and new and old and new things that you can see on Battlefront webpage. Nothing really jumped into my attention when I browsed it today, other than these tin boxes that probably most of you guys are expecting. So, without further ado, what I did with Rob, for example, we played the Gauntlet mission one more time, and everybody... No, Snitz, this is not game channel for video games. We're just exclusive for this game called Flames of War, which is a tabletop game, basically played with miniatures on a real table, kitchen table, oversized kitchen table with a lot of terrain and different models on it. So guys, what we played during the weekend, I actually updated my my table at home, and I will show you guys some of these new things that you can see. You can actually see them on my you can actually see them. 1 second, I'm just trying to get them and to a point where I can have all of them. So this. Alrighty. Downloading pictures from phone and then showcasing them to you guys. So what happened was I played a game with Rob, and then Soren told me, hey, you want to play a game with me? And then I was out to buy groceries, and I said, alright, but I still need a table. So it took me about 20 euros to go to the local hardware store, exactly, and buy PFL, an MDF plywood, you would call it, and by the size, two sizes of 90 by 120, and then I bought curtain, so window curtain, which is pretty large on green, and I just put it over that MDF, and it looks something like this. So this is the table. We just made this on the go, and it looks like this. Very, very nice houses. I like them. I like how they are showing up, and how I'm ending up with them being built. I know it's not too much. This is how a panther looks behind one of these houses at the street corner right next to the shop. He played a Panther list with Bartman, and I played my my list of stewards, well-known list from the Belgian GT, just with this minor modification of adding this veteran 76 Shermans and the Paras, the British Paras, which are, in my opinion, the best infantry at the moment to be played as a auxiliary force, auxiliary infantry, to have just to have an infantry, because in my opinion you always need an infantry. What else? So yeah, this is one of the houses I just finished last night building. It's a damage house, an MDF house. It looks really nice, and hopefully I still have 2 of them to finish, and when I will have them finished, I will probably be able to fill up my table with this kind of things. I'm still waiting for you guys to suggest to me some providers for terrain and ways to build stuff. I just found out how I can build craters, and I'll be using some putty.
Yeah, putty, yeah. Modeling putty.
Modeling putty, and I will just make some nice craters. Hello to everybody one more time watching this.
Gio, could you check your email, because I sent you a PowerPoint.
And I'll be checking my my email in a second. So besides that, what happened? I played the steward list with trained stewards with Veteran 76s and a bunch of M12s. He played very nice Panther list with Barkman, with some Tigers also, and basically, all right, Christian, I have it. So whenever you want to talk about it, we can use it. So we went through that. We played a scenario called Breakthrough, and it's one of those scenarios that Christian likes very much, where the attacker just needs to hold at least 1 unit in reserve.
And Breakthrough is nice. I hate counterattack.
Oh yeah, you hate counterattack. Now I think the sound is getting awfully loud because it shows on my VooMeter, but I hope it's okay on the stream. Then what happened was that he placed his Panthers in ambush. He was defending, and he had some. So there were SS Panthers with SS Tigers, Wests, some Recon, and some infantry, some Armored Panzer Grenadiers, and I absolutely he took all my 76s out with the Panther ambush, and then I was able to blitz my M12s and got rid of one of the Panthers. With one, he actually succeeded to be bailed. So yeah, he needed
rolled a 6.
He rolled a 6, yeah, and then I killed all the other Panthers with stewards. Just
shot them in the side, or what?
Shot them in the side. He just rolled a 1. I rolled a 4, and then Barkman fled on a 2+ for his morale. So those were his 26 points off the table. And then his lead Panther and his Tigers were the only units that remained in game for about 4 more turns. When I was just crumping up on the objective, he started to take out some of the stewards, because they were pretty much in the open by then, because I had to try and take the side of the Panther. And in the end, I managed to bail it with the Piat. So I had a lucky Piat shot from the front, and he was bailed on the objective, and that was about it. I then assaulted it, not being attentive and not paying attention to how the game was eventually going to end if I just let everything like that. But we played the assault. Of course, his Tigers were close to the Panther, and he was able to counterattack and all those things. And I said that maybe we should end it in a draw, because that would have been fair, because I had absolutely no chance of taking out those tigers, especially with the fact that my infantry was diminishing every turn, trying to assault the panther, and the panther staying in the game with those tiger next to them.
Yeah.
Hello, Wardrobe. Good to see you online. Good to see you are with us.
So, Theo, should we try and walk through the PowerPoint?
Yes, I'm just trying to get an idea of if anything is okay with the stream. So if the sound is okay, I'm just checking it right now. Yeah, should be right. All right, guys. Let's see what Christian has for us.
Yeah, as a disclaimer before we start with the the PowerPoint show, this is something I made a few years back. I think 2 years back. I made it along with one of the other guys from the ETC team, because we had a lot of introduction games for new players. So we wanted to improve the intermediate players, due to the fact that whenever we had a tournament in Denmark, it was always the ETC guys, me included, that took first until sixth place, and then we wanted to improve the entire skill level of the Danish community. And actually, I've sent this PowerPoint to Søren, who used it in Iceland as well, I think. And I also gave it to Scott from Northern Ireland and walked him through it, because it's in Danish, and I really didn't have the time to alter it. So it's a combination of Danish and English, but a lot of the stuff that I've put in the PowerPoint show is to improve intermediate players' skill. And there's a lot of different things that I'm going to walk you guys through. And it's mainly pre-game tactics, in-game tactics, and also the mathematics. You know, Theo is always teasing me with the fact that I always mention math, but it's important to use math in your games, because it will improve your performance immensely. And the PowerPoint was also followed up by some tactical drills, so to speak, at the tables, where we practiced deployment, which in my humble opinion is the most important thing in the game. And what really distinguishes this game from other tabletop games is that you really need to know how to deploy. It's not like in other games where you can just hide your stuff behind some buildings, and then you'll be safe for the first turn. Here you really have to think about how you will deploy and micromanage your defense. So we had drills with that, also placing objectives and placing objectives and defenses and stuff.
Christian, it's up right now, so you should be able to see it on the stream.
Yeah, if you go to the first page, is obviously just the presentation of the entire thing, and this here is the agenda that we had with the guys, and it's written with both Danish and English, but I'm gonna try and translate as good as I'm able to do. I'll try my best, but this is the pre-game planning, which is the first part of the course that we held, and then it's mathematical tactics, pre-game tactics, which is a SMEAK, which is actually something I took from my time in the army, where we had this word for planning an operation. It's a 5-point plan, and this is the American version of it. It's called SMEAK. And then we had some in-game tactics and introduction to the rest of the day. But if you just skip to the next picture, you'll see one of my favorite generals, which is Omar Bradley. He says, "Amateurs, talk about tactics, but professionals talk about logistics. And I think that is a really nice quote regarding the Second World War. I've been talking about it in the anecdotes and stuff. And in July, he planned the Operation Cobra, the breakout of Normandy in the American sector. And he had the command of the U.S. largest army ever, commanded by one guy. This is the 12th Army Group, which was around 9,000 men in total. So if you skip to the next one.
Yep, 1 second. All right. Yep, this is it.
And the next one, it's I've written something that we used to say in the army, or we still say in the army, but this is just in Danish, and it says, good preparations give you the best set-off point to win the game, and it's some factors that you are in full control of, the pre-game planning. And a long preparation makes the fight short, and you'd rather have a 80% plan than a 100% plan that is made too late. And then you can see what Montgomery is saying down there. It's the Germans should have thought of some of these things before they began the war, particularly before attacking the Russians, referring to a German soldier's request to surrender only to the British or American forces and not the Russians. And Montgomery's what he thought about Dwight D. Eisenhower was nice chap, no general.
Yes.
And then this the next picture with all the flags. This is something that is made before we had the new books with the D-Day Americans and the D-Day British and so on and so forth. But I've summed up here what I thought, or what I think is the best different factors that the different armies have. You know, their go-to units. And in the Soviet army, this is just cheap units, lots of guns.
I think actually we can have a discussion regarding this and see if they are still up to date with how the current books are and and the current meta. So just saying hello to Soren. Soren, I just told everybody how we tied up the game on Sunday.
And then it says, then I've written the breaking points for the units because they are so large, and then the amount of fire they can put out. And the US, it's obviously the bazooka that I think is a very nice thing, the armored rifle. And a lot of mortars. And the 76 jumbo, but this is before the new books came out.
This is actually version 3, I think, Christian. Now I think the best thing for Americans are the. I mean, they are good and not good. We had this discussion before on the channel regarding the stabilizers, but I think these are actually the main juice or the main thing that. Difference them from the other armies, and they could actually work because of this stabilizers. Of course, a lot of mortars and a lot of artillery, very good artillery, very nicely priced 76s with 80-12. I agree with you. Armor rifle, mid and late. Yes, because of this bazooka nerf, which is so bad. I mean, playing the British paras with the Piat hitting on a 4+ in assault, it's absolutely huge compared to playing with the Americans hitting on a 5+. So I would take bazooka out of this, but yeah, I can totally agree with you.
But as I said, this is 2 years ago. I made this bootcamp.
To
move on, the UK, which is obviously also out of date because the 25-pounders isn't worth their points anymore. But back in the day, I thought they were really nice. The 6-pounder gun is still nice. Fireflies, obviously. And nowadays, Typhoons are off the table in my regard. With the Germans, it's the Nebelwerfers. It used to be that they were really good. They still are with a 3+ save, but I'd rather take some of the armored artillery that they have. Then the half tracks for every purpose that you need. The half tracks are really nice. They're still good. Then I've written in Danish nice heroes or good heroes, but nowadays I don't think they are that powerful like they used to be.
You're already jumping to Germans.
Yeah. And then unkillable tanks. It's just because when it's out of date, I'd rather move on to the next slide because I rather want to teach people how to.
But this is very important for our veteran subscribers and watchers and viewers. So you used to have 25 pounders, 6 pounders, Fireflies, Typhoons. The only thing we still have are the Fireflies. So 6 pounders, no. 25 pounders, are you mad? And Typhoons, joke, you know. This is actually maybe a point that the entire community talked about, the fact that we went from one system to another and we forgot about some units, and some units are not as good as they used to be. I don't know if this is a good thing or not. In my opinion, it's not. But yeah, what can I say? About the Germans, well, all I can say now is the Germans, they used to have very good, the 88s were very good in version 3, and they're very good now in version 4, so I don't see them there. The half tracks are also, they've been buffed with the new rule for mounted assault, and the fact that they have you can have them on the table without the guys inside, and you can have the full rate of fire, and then with the fact that if they get destroyed on their way, passengers get a 3+ save instead of 5+ save, so everybody is keeping infantry inside their half trucks and they're traveling around. Of course, the absolutely crazy dash movement, which we didn't used to have in version 3, and it's absolutely incredible in version 4, and gives you the benefit of you dashing towards the objective, getting to the objective, and then your enemy actually thinking twice about killing your half truck and making you dismount from it, and maybe then just let you do that dismount move on your own movement, so that you don't assault him the next one, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. But again, if I'm gonna make a boot camp like this for intermediate players again, obviously I'm gonna update the PowerPoint show, because we put a lot of thought and effort in it, me and Jesper from the team. But it's fun to see what used to be the good stuff and now it changed. But if you move on to the next slide, there's a triangle here,
exactly,
which I call the triangle of pre-game synergy in regards to how you build your list. And obviously there's a lot of stuff written here in Danish, but I will try to elaborate on what its meaning, what the meaning of this is. But as you can see, it's a triangle where there's infantry in the bottom left corner, a tank in the bottom right corner, and then some artillery on top and support units. And what I'm trying to emphasize with this particular slide is that when you build your list and you want to win games, you can go ahead, build historical lists, do whatever you feel like. But if you want to make a list that is going to win you games, you have to take into consideration that every unit in your army has a purpose. You just don't take stuff along for the fun of it if you want to win, like in competitive play. Just to get that out there. This is not to destroy the fact that you want to play, like, say, some scenario on the Eastern Front, whatever. But this is how you build a list that will win you games and tournaments. So what I've written here is that is the pre-game tactic the same for all the different factions, or do you have to alternate your strategy? Yes, is the correct answer, but you still have to make the list made in such a fashion that it has synergy.
Exactly.
And your infantry, if you want to bring infantry, what are their purpose? Are they to attack? So what kind of equipment do you want to give them? Are they to defend? Do they then need vehicles? So on and so forth. Is it necessary to make them careful, or can you manage with only aggressive? So on and so forth. And I've written a lot of questions for the pupils that are participating, all the students that I'm asking them questions because I want them to reflect and think about this. The artillery, what is their purpose? Is it just to kill the other guys in artillery and then focus on the dog-in infantry, or what are the purpose of bringing the artillery? What is the good stat line for some artillery versus the point cost? As we talked about nowadays, it's the armored artillery for the Germans and the 4.2-inch mortars for the British guys. Do you need a plane? And what is the purpose of this plane? And have you thought about bringing it? And what about if you're defending? And then lastly, what is the meaning of bringing tanks? Are they supposed to hunt the other guy's tanks, or are you bringing them to assault with? And you see, it has to have synergy, and you cannot bring stuff without them having a purpose. And what I said to them, making a good list is not something you do in half an hour. It takes a lot of pre-game planning, testing, thinking stuff through, scenarios, thinking about reserves and so on and so forth. So this is the triangle of synergy, so to speak.
Right.
If you move on to the next slide too.
It's actually something that I had to learn the hard way through my first year of Flames of War, when I was building lists just to be, only Panzer Force and King Tigers and these kind of shiny tanks to have on the table, and then I was getting beaten up by Shermans and cannons and different things that I didn't understood, and I used to play without synergy. And yes, I agree with you. That's one of the first things we need to learn. We need to keep a synergy between the forces we combine in our games. Alrighty, carry on.
Yeah.
I see
And
Soren is translating what are your slides.
Yeah, because he has the slide. I gave it to him so he could use it in the Iceland on the license,
Yeah.
But then the series just we have a comment saying Denmark that there need to be a red thread through everything, and basically means that everything has to be there for a purpose, and it has to have synergy once again. And in this case here, you can see it's a 1,500 point list versus a 100 point list, so it's back in the 3.5 days.
Yeah.
And what I'm basically saying is that on the first step, when you build your list, think about infantry. Do you even need infantry in your list? Or could you manage with tanks and artillery? So if you think your list have those support elements, so you don't need infantry, don't bring them. Tanks, should they be there as a support role, or should they be there as an assault role? Once again, my guns, could I use them only as artillery, or could I also use them to hunt tanks with? Let's say, for instance, an M12 or a Hummel tank, a Hummel artillery piece. And lastly, but not least, reconnaissance. Do I need reconnaissance to make a spearhead move? And back in the day, to do eyes and ears? And the answer is yes. Every list should have 3 or 2 point cost reconnaissance unit.
Depends, because if you're playing Americans, you're just spending 3 points.
Yeah. And then let me see what's the next slide. Yeah, this is some mathematical stuff where we've talked about math, statistics of war. And if you just move to slide number, let me see. Yeah, if you move to slide 28.
Which one is it? Because I'm in the presentation right now.
Yeah, let me see. Just you have to go like to slide 28.
Alrighty. Okay, let's see. Slide 28.
Patrick is saying, I want to make a Russian army list for a colleague who is a full beginner. Do you have any tips?
Yeah. In a second.
I'd say if you want to make a list for Russians, Patrick, in Flames of War nowadays, in my opinion, attacking is the easiest part. So if you make him a nice list with some looted German tanks, some T-34s, some reconnaissance guys, some artillery, and then just one unit of hero infantry and some mortars.
There you go, pinning down.
Yeah, you'll have a really nice list for him. I'd say go for tanks because defense is very difficult. It's better for him to try and attack. As I said in the beginning, the game is a deployment game.
Christian,
Yeah.
may I dare to contradict you?
Yeah, of course. We're always arguing on this channel, you know.
Exactly. And actually the thing is, in my opinion, the best thing for a beginner would be to defend, to be able to learn the game. Because if he attacks, he will do that wrongly, and he will get frustrated with the fact that he has to have the initiative and the other guy has to react to what he's playing up against. And if if he's playing against an experienced player, oh boy, is he going to lose. But if he's going to play defensive and he sees the other guy having the initiative and moving the army around the table and how they move it, they will actually be able to understand some of the principles and actually improve their defensive skills. Because in defense, all right, I mean, you certainly from the second battle you're getting templated with. So somebody puts a template on your infantry, or somebody just mocks at your guns with smoke and then a template on them. You realize that, oh well, so maybe I should take something mobile and I should do some other ways around with things. But I agree with Christian, he should go for a tank army. Maybe I would suggest for him taking T-34 hero with IS-2 veterans and maybe some infantry. I know there are a bunch of you guys out there. This is why I ask you if he's rich, because we could take a 20 stands infantry platoon out there. But no, yeah.
But I say, like, in the beginning, if you start with some, you can also go the defense way. But I'm just saying that depends on, I think if you have to be reactive and being, thinking ahead when you deploy, you can get punished very easily. Because in my opinion, nowadays it's easier to attack than defend.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was the other way around.
I agree with you, but for learning the game, for the experience
of
of learning the game, it helps you a lot to see the other guy playing first. Because if you play first and then that guy pops you the ambush in your face and you suddenly 8 of your T-34s are destroyed and you're like, what am I going to do now, you know? That'll be a little bit sad.
But
and yeah, what Soren is saying, Hero Shock Rifle Company, he will never regret it. I totally agree with him. We're gonna have a Hero Shock Rifle Company also in our Armenian GT. That's going to be very interesting. All right, yeah. Soren.
So this here is through the slides that were prior to this one, we talked a lot about how math works and the element of chance when you play with dice. But this here is a tool for guys to use in a game, which is a quick reference sheet to determine the chance of you being pinned down or the enemy being pinned And as you can see here on the top, this says to hit. So to hit on 2 plus, 3 plus, 4 plus, 5 plus, and 6 plus. What are the chances of you pinning the enemy? So as you can see, if you have 5 shots on a 2 plus, you only have a 40% chance of pinning him down. But if you get just, let me see, twice as many dice, you have a 100% chance. So if you think this through when you play, you can also take this into consideration when you think about modifiers such as long range, concealed, so on and so forth. And you can just add those numbers to the top row to see, let's say he's concealed and gone to ground on short range. How many dice do you need to pin him? Well, not even 17 dice is enough to make a 100% chance to pin him down. So again, think about this when you play. What are the chances? What are my odds? And then again, it is an element of chance. So there will always be some contradictions. But as you can see, if you have let's say a careful unit and you have 17 dice, there's still 2% chance of him not being pinned. So by using math in your game, moving your miniatures around, thinking about the modifiers, you'll be better at judging where to shoot at, which units to shoot at, and where to move your units on the board, and then not be frustrated when things are not succeeding for you. Because if you take into consideration, okay, I have a 90% chance of pinning him down with 7 dice, okay, there's still 10% chance of me not succeeding. So
I'm still looking at this graphic, and I can't believe that the fact that I always thought that I have a 50-50 chance on a 4 plus to be pinned down by 10 shots, and you're saying I have a 62% chance. So that's actually worse for me when I calculate my my assault chances.
Yeah, and the thing is, the guy Jesper, he's an engineer, and he did some crazy mathematical stuff in the other slides, and with formulas and stuff to tell people that this is actually how you calculate stuff like that. So if you move on to the next slide, so this is in regard to if you want to make sure the enemy is falling back from let's say an assault. And as you can see here on the slide,
where to the other side now? To the side, risk of fallback to defensive fire.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as the other one, but just on the opposite, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. We always think about you being the defender or you being the attacker, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have 10 shots on a 2 plus to hit. It's a 100% chance of you falling back. And if you go to the point where Jesper have this crosshair where you want to be at, in which like area you want to be located, you can see how many shots it takes to do to force the enemy to fall back. And that's why you need to think about if I can add smoke or can assault through concealing terrain. The element of chance or your chances will be improved immensely in comparison to not being concealed or not being smoked. So we made this into a little reference card that we laminated, so every participant of the bootcamp could have it and take it home. And it's a quick reference for beginners and intermediate players to incorporate this in their gaming. And I'm such a geek, so I've been talking about math the entire 28 episodes, and I do it all the time, and that's also part of reason why I've improved so much over the years playing Flames of War and tabletop games in general. Because I remember as a kid in my teens, I was always so frustrated when I wasn't able to make a 5+5+ something against the Demon Prince. And nowadays I think a lot about the map, um, and then also let's say you are deploying your units, you should think about, okay, if I'm pinned down by the enemy, how many shots do I need to repel the enemy to be sure? So I can think about this when I deploy and stuff like that. So this is to try and lift the intermediate players up to the expert level, so to speak.
It's one of the steps. One of the steps is to understand that it's although it's a chance, okay, it's a chance that you take every time you roll a dice. In the end, if you know math and if you just think about probabilities and chances for you to that something would happen to you, then you'll play the game much better. That's the final conclusion, I think. So pre-game tactics. What is this? Introduction to SMEAK.
Yeah. As you can see in the top of the slide, this is something I've taken from an unknown Russian soldier. But it says, men were thrown headlong at Finnish guns, tanks and their crews were shelled and burned, whole regiments of infantry encircled, entire battalions of troops, the spearhead of the Red Army, were cut off from the reinforcement and supplies during the Soviet-Finnish Winter War, unknown Russian soldier. And if you move on to SMEAK, the next picture.
Yeah. What is the current situation? What are my units deployed? Where are my units deployed? Where is the enemy? And what do I do next? Mission. Yeah. This is the part during which you consider the objective of the game. What the scenario is, what does one to have to achieve, and how does it achieve it. Execution. This is very important. This is where you as the commander put everything into practice by giving orders to achieve the mission. This is a good chance to look at where you will move your units. What movement orders will I give? What cross checks will I have to make to get to a good flanking position? What units can shoot? What units do I have available to push forward to take the objective? Right, administration. In the game, this is the best opportunity to look at what units I have and what they are equipped with to achieve the mission. All right, this is very good one. Usually, I'm doing this before execution. So I first think about what are my strengths, and then try to achieve that. Control. Is my HQ within range to help out my units with his benefits? Is my warrior placed correctly for maximum effect? Yeah, really nice one. The SMEAK.
Yeah.
Situation, mission, execution, administration, control.
Yeah, nice. And this is something that I've thought of, because before going on any operation, whether it be an exercise back home in Denmark or when I was deployed abroad in Afghanistan or on the Balkans and stuff, you always have a 5-point plan, as it's called in Danish, or as the Americans call it, a SMEAK. But it's basically the same. It's something that the commanders use to take everything into consideration. And as I said in the beginning of the PowerPoint, is that the pre-game planning is the factor that you are totally and utterly in control of. You decide what's going to happen. And if you use the SMEAK in your pre-game planning, and also meanwhile you deploy, and before every step that you play, like before it's your turn or your turn starts, just walk over through these steps. You might have this as a printed out version next to you. Try to heighten the skill level of the players. So the situation, okay, it's turn 2. What is the current situation? Before I just move headlong into some crazy maneuver, what is the situation? How does it look now? And a good player, let's say you're at a tournament, you have 3 hours to complete this. Meanwhile, you are the defending player, and it's the your opponent's turn. You just sit still as a robot and roll your dice. That's the only thing you need to do, and say whether or not he has a clear line of sight or it's concealment. And meanwhile, you are sitting there watching your opponent move your units around. You think about SMEAK all the time. What I'm going to do now? What is the current situation before you move into something? And as I said here, where are my units deployed? Okay, where is the enemy? And what do I need to do next? Like, do this continuously all the time. Think about this in your opponent's turn, because if you sit and second guess yourself when it's your turn, the time is going to run out, and it might be a draw. The mission, this is very important. As I said, it's a pre-game phase. Sorry, delete that. It's a deployment game. So the mission is very important. Where do I place my objectives? It's key, because if you place them wrongly, you might lose. And as I said here, this is the part during which you consider the objective of the game, what scenarios is, and what does one have to achieve, and how does you achieve it. Like, if I place my objective here, what can I use to defend it? Or if I place it here as the attacker, how do I get to that point?
Actually, Christian, what you said earlier, that you have to think about SMEAK every turn. It's a thing that I do most of the time. Every turn, every opponent's turn, I just take into consideration, apart from watching his moves and being careful of intuiting what he's trying to achieve with his moves and everything, and of course finding solutions to counter attack his movement. I always tend to take into consideration the fact that you always have to keep in mind what turn you are into, what are your mission, your winning conditions. You always have to think about this. If your opponent can take your objective straight away, or if he can wait for the 6th turn to have the objective active, and these crazy things. Because it happened to me. I won so many games where my opponents forgot the main rules, forgot in what turn they were in. I had a very, very nice game against this top player from the US, who at my first ATC in Salamanca, where he just forgot that he was supposed to be on the objective. He was supposed to be in 8 inches of the objective by the end of the turn 6, or otherwise I would win it. And he actually moved his unit that was in 8 inches from the objective away from the objective right in the turn before the 6th turn. And I was like,
he forgot about the situation in the mission.
Exactly. Then I simply just gave him my hand to shake, and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's the 6th turn. I win if you don't have anything in 8 inches. And he was like, oh my god.
And then again, one thing that I will try to really underline is execution. And by execution, I mean, as I've written here, this is where you as the commander put everything into practice by giving orders to achieve the mission. And by this, I mean, through this PowerPoint show, through this bootcamp day, I've been trying to tell the students that if you take math into consideration, you won't try an assault that might succeed, because that won't win you the game. You might lose horribly if you have like a 40% chance. I'm not saying that in the end of the game you can go for a Hail Mary, but execution, if you set up an assault, you think about the math. Is this going to happen? Am I going to succeed with this? And if I've done my math, I know I'm going to succeed. So in my execution, I have already thought about how will I consolidate my units? What is the situation going to look like after this assault? It's very important. Administration in this game, this is the best. In the game, this is the best opportunity to look at what units do I have and what are they equipped with to achieve the mission. So, do they have the correct equipment to assault? No. So I have to wait with the assault. I cannot do this now, or I have to make some adjustments prior to this, try and bail out some tanks, whatever. And then in the end, this is very important. I often see people forget this. The HQ unit is a very valuable gaming piece because of the rerolls. You might have a Panzerfaust, so on and so forth. So always think about, where is my HQ located? Can I have the benefits from him? Again, it's math. I improve my counterattack capabilities. I improve my rallying capabilities, so on and so forth. What about my warrior? Is Bachman, is he packed in such a fashion that you can't shoot at him? You might kill the other guys first, or whatever it might be. Is my warrior, put in the right position, so to speak?
Can I allocate hits on him and things like that? Yeah.
So on and so forth. Yeah. So by using this, it's not something that I think about anymore, because I just do this. I'm very, self-taught, and I've implemented these things from the army into the game, including math. So I do this all the time. But this is just a reflection exercise for the students, and you can print this out if you want to improve your games in the beginning. You can also take this SMEAK into consideration if you are building your list. So SMEAK is a really nice tool for you to improve your game.
Exactly. Really nice presentation. Sorry. Christian, really nice to have the SMEAK for everybody. You want to continue more about it, or
just next slide? Yeah, just next slide.
Next slide. Alrighty, let me check it. Yeah, placing objective. Now this is in the enemy must annihilate before he reaches our main battlefield. Must be annihilated. We must stop him in the water, destroying all his equipment while it is still afloat. Nice, Roman.
Yeah. So again, I like using these quotes because those generals are right. They're saying something very clever and wise. And as I've written here in Danish, this is at the event. I had this different, standard scenarios dust up. I think we had hasty attack and free fall, something like that. And we talked about how to place your objectives, because it's very important. So they actually had exercises, setting up the different objectives, and it might seem lame, but then again, if you practice it and you have a standard procedure to place your objectives, you also use it when you are under stress and you're playing the third game Sunday evening at a tournament. And then how and where should I place my range in markers? Should I place them where the infantry is located now, if I'm the defender, or should I anticipate some choke points where I know for a fact that he would assault through, because I would do the same? So again, placing objective markers. It's a pre-game thing. You have all the time in the world to think about stuff like that. And then placing minefields. Again, how should I place these? Can I use the terrain to try and make some choke points, or should I just put them in connection to each other, so on and so forth? And then what about the terrain? Can I place my objectives near some terrain to force him to assault through a wood? So he might need to take some cross checks. So can I place it next to a house? Stuff like that. And what about my guns? Are they able to do defensive fire? Have I placed them correctly? Have I thought about the 20 centimeters of defensive fire? So on and so forth. Again, this is something that is very important and often overlooked. And this is something that you can practice at home on your kitchen table. If in this mission, how would I place my stuff? Again, if you want to win tournaments, this is something that defies the better players from the intermediate and rest of the lot. And sometimes I can tell at a tournament if it's an intermediate or beginner player, and I can tell from the beginning when he starts placing objectives that okay, he has no idea of what he's doing. So I will win this in 5 turns or 6 turns or something like this. And but it's a factor that he can do something about. It's just thinking about the placement of these things.
Yeah, but still, Christian, and when you play against a very seasoned player who knows all the units in all the armies and who knows all the stats and doesn't need to look to anything, and he knows all the minor glitches of no HE, for example, for certain units or this kind of things, well, you cannot beat that. That's the experience they have to get to. That's the experience. I mean, this is a very good. This is a very good thing. This presentation you made. It's actually a tutorial that probably I would advise you put up to Battlefront and maybe sell it to them. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Maybe get some terrain or something in trade, in exchange. Because it will be very useful and very nice to have for all Flames of War players, for all starting Flames of War players, because at a point, okay, this game you can play it just from the historical perspective. So just saying that I want to play historical armies, I want to play historical scenarios and battles, and I like the models and I want to use the models and everything, but most of us play it in shops, in competitive areas. We don't play it at home. We play it at home right now because it's the pandemic and everything, but otherwise people will just play it at their hobby shop, and there you just meet with people and you play competitive, even if it's a friendly game, even if you know the other guy for a long time. You are playing competitive against him. For me, for example, I think I've said this on the channel many times. It's very hard and it's very difficult to play the guys from the Romanian team compared to playing with you guys at international tournaments. I mean, it's the game at the international tournaments. For me, it's way more relaxed and way better than the competition we have at home. Let's say between us at home, it's like you're friendly with the other guy. If he forgets anything, you help him. Okay, you let him redo the movement. You talk about different things and these kind of things. But in the end, you're so pissed off that you made a mistake, and you're very eager to prove to each other that you are good at the game and you have a better list than the other guy, and so on and so forth. All right. Yeah. If you go there to just test the list and you expect what's going to happen, then all right. But otherwise, people just they get to the competitive level very fast with this game, and it's very rewarding to win one of these games of Flames of War, because you're staying there for 4 hours, and if you're getting out of that game victorious, well, that back pain you have for staying up for 4 hours.
And your calves are like sore and stuff.
Exactly. That's the moment you say, well, it worth something. I didn't got out of it just playing this game, because if you play this game 3 or 4 times and you just get crushed by even intermediate players or even beginner players who get these notions of, okay, this is a mathematical game, this is a game where I have to think about everything in advance, I have to have a plan and I have to put it in action and keep it and stick to the plan. Because what happens to me, and what used to happen to me, was I used to lose one of the main units I was depending, or my plan was depending upon, and then I was like, all right, I don't feel like playing this game anymore. But in the end, if I kept going, usually the lady luck comes around. And
but you think about SMEAK, like what is the new current situation? And this is not something that I made along with the other guys from the TC team to brag and be like, hey, we are really good at this game, and now I'm going to really show you how to play, and blah, 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 you know nothing. This was something that the community asked us about at some of the big tournaments. Hey, could you actually, try and teach us some of these nice, neat tricks that you all apply in your games continuously through every tournament? There must be a reason why you guys win. And I said, yeah, of course, I would gladly make this. And then we had, I think it was 10 or 12 people that came to the intermediate bootcamp and really were appreciative of the day's different lessons and tactical stuff, and they brought a notebook and things like that. And the last slide, there's too much in Danish, but I'm actually just talking about assault is the key to victory.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I'm just going to present it right now.
Yeah, a lot of players can easily, learn how to move their infantry, their tanks, their guns around, and they can easily figure out how the shooting mechanics work and the different modifiers and so on and so forth. But setting up a good assault and thinking 3 turns ahead on how I'm gonna maneuver myself into position to give me the best chances of making a successful assault is very important. And as I've shown here in the last slide, it's the first step, obviously, before an assault is to use your SMEAK in your pre-game planning. Do I even have units that are capable of assaulting if I want to be an aggressive list, or can I defend against an assault? Prior to an assault, always think about pinning, think about the mathematics. How many shots do I actually need to pin this guy to be able to assault? How many teams should I move in? Would it be enough for just one team? Do I just want to push him away and then make the final assault in the next turn? What about concealment? Should I smoke him up? But then again, it will be more difficult for me to pin him down. Yeah. Could I have brought a flamethrower with me? Something like this.
Should I keep my smoke for the right time, or should I use it to protect my advance? Yeah, it's very difficult to take into consideration, and you have to think about every step.
And then again, the assault itself. Which direction am I assaulting from? Do I assault through a cornfield or through a woods, or should I take my chances with, let's say, some tanks through a wood, because I'll have concealment against his guns, but then again I have some cross checks. Again, think about the math. Will this succeed with me doing a 3+ cross check each turn? And then in the end, consolidation. Sorry. Again, as I said before, if you've done your SMEAK, you won't try to make an assault that you don't know is going to succeed. So prior to assaulting, you already know how to consolidate, but think about it in your SMEAK. How should I put my units after I won the assault to give me the best chances of pushing him away and winning the game? Use the terrain to your own advantage when you're consolidating. Make a screen more than 10 centimeters from the objective, so he has to assault you, or he cannot drive a tank or an infantry stand next to the objective. Think about your consolidation. It's very important. And then in the end, this will lead you to victory, and you'll be able to raise the flag like on Iwo Jima here on the little animation.
Yeah, very nice, Søren. Very nice presentation, Christian. Very pleasant to watch with these animations and interactive things. I would say just translate it to English and give it to Battlefront for money.
I think I spent like a month and a half doing this together with Jesper, especially all the Flames of War math.
Yeah.
Took a lot of time to prepare this, and we got some sponsorship also to give people like some extra dices and things.
Mm-hmm.
And I have only hosted this class once, but I might do it again in the future when COVID thing is over.
When the COVID thing is over, we should do this internationally, I think. This will be very nice to have it internationally done, like a boot camp, like the Russians used to do in Poland, when they used to go and practice their game with the Polish army. And play some dices there. This will be very, very nice for guys to get some perspective of how it is to go to international tournaments and how it is to go and participate to different things. Alrighty, Christian. We're getting well into 1 hour and 17 minutes right now of streaming, and we know these kids have school tomorrow. These bigger kids have work to do tomorrow, and that's very important. Do you have an anecdote for us today?
Yeah, and due to the time that we spent already, it's going to be a short one, like a really short one. But as you all heard, there's different, the invasion beaches normally had different names. Omaha, obviously the most famous, and Juno, Sword, Gold, and Juno, Sword, Gold, yeah, those 5 invasion beaches. And in the beginning, the beaches were actually named after some different fish. So it was goldfish, and then Juno was jellyfish, shortened jelly, and then swordfish for the last one. But the Canadians, they refused to assault a beach called Jelly. So it's a little bit of, jinxing it. Yeah. So they changed the name into Juno.
Juno Beach.
Yeah. And back in the day, could you imagine presenting the guys? Yes, welcome to Operation Jelly. So they changed into Juno. And then actually there was a 6th invasion beach. I think it was called Band. And they had some commandos to stand by to try and assault that to protect the flank of Sword Beach. Because the Sword Beach had to go to the river close to the coast and protect the bridgehead there. There were some really vital bridges that they need to capture. And to protect the flank there, they thought about having a 6th beach, but due to the successes of the Commonwealth forces, they didn't use that option. Yeah. So this is tonight's short anecdote. So just think about next time you see the word Juno Beach, it was actually supposed to be named Jellyfish.
Jelly. Very good one, Christian. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the great info you provided us with tonight, and for all the essentials we guys beginner player should use. I'm sure we're gonna talk about this classes, because I see Soren came up with a very nice idea. Let's do online classes. That's very pandemic style. Everybody's doing online classes for everything. We're doing it at school also. It will be a nice project. It will be a project we should consider and think about it, and maybe it will help. I am sure that I'm going to play some more remote games. Christian, you're the second after Soren. Soren has to take his revenge for the last game tomorrow, probably in a private game. But Christian, if you have time, next weekend maybe, we should try and see how the remote gaming would work for us, and see if we can do some gaming. Of course, if you can go and play a real game at your local shop, yeah, I'm totally fine with that. But otherwise, if you fancy playing anything other than Soviets, because Soviets I don't have yet.
Yeah. I think Theo, in not next week, but in 14 days time,
yeah,
I will participate in a tournament, and obviously I'll take a lot of pictures and videos, and then we can walk through what happened at that particular tournament and what was the meta and stuff like that.
That will be absolutely perfect and absolutely nice. So you can actually test your list if you want with me this weekend or whenever you have time. It's very fun and relaxing for the guy watching the other guy moving all the armies on the table. So yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see
We
how the
shall see
game
how it
goes.
goes.
Yeah.
To everyone watching us, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much for subscribing. To all my kids at school, guys, you're really crazy, and I thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. And I really wish that at least 10% of you guys stick to this game and maybe try it out with me once and see if it's a good activity, if you'll like it and if you'll enjoy it. And I will support you 100% into getting into Flames of War or any other tabletop gaming, because it's a nice hobby. It's a hobby that actually helps you grow very nicely. You need to be able to compose yourself. You need to be able to understand everything about game rules and also conduct, how you should play with other people and what you should think about and talk about there. So thank you very much. See you guys on next Wednesday, and thank you to everybody watching us, to all our veterans, Soren, Patrick, Andre. I haven't seen Scott today. I wonder what he's doing, but saying hello if he's watching this in recorded video. And also to everybody else that I maybe forgot about. Lud is doing something, we don't know yet what, but we're really expecting him to come back with a punch next time. And Mikal is back at basketball, so I think his finger finally got better. And I hope we'll see him again on the channel ASP. Thank you guys once again, and see you next week.